Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen of D-Class personnel. Go ahead and sit down. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Commander and I'm going to be briefing you on the SCP you're about to go study. What we're looking at today, SCP-4724, Object Class Neutralized. Special Containment Procedures. Following its destruction in 1977, SCP-4724 is no longer anomalous and no longer requires containment. The remaining organic matter is stored in Site-84. The property belonging to POI 7484 has been bought by a Foundation front company. Deceased SCP-4724-A instances are to be kept within cold storage at Site-93. Various rumors about SCP-4724 have persisted in the local community since the early 1980s, largely due to inadequate methods of information suppression at the time. Misinformation campaigns are to be utilized to label SCP-4724's existence as folklore. Description: SCP-4724 was a farmhouse located in Arkansas, owned by a Lenora Shoemaker and Samantha Bale. Every 2 hours, a humanoid entity designated SCP-4724-A would emerge from the house and wander the property. -A instances were approximately 2 meters in height and had disproportionately large heads. They also manifested a wide range of congenital defects of varying degrees of survivability, including scoliosis, encephaly, and gastrositis. All instances were ambulatory, albeit to varying degrees. Discovery: the Foundation was notified of SCP-4724's existence by several keywords used in a 911 call on June 5, 1977. After several instances left the property and caused traffic accidents, local ranchers and veterinarians went to the farm where they intercepted, baptized, and euthanized new instances as they emerged. The group dispersed upon arrival of MTF Epsilon 6, the Village Idiots. During a sweep of the house, an MTF member accidentally disturbed an oil lantern, which fell onto the floor and ignited the curtains, quickly spreading the rest of the house. Further recovery teams were scrambled, but attempts to save SCP-4724 were hampered by uncooperative weather and the spread of fire to a nearby cornfield. No further -A instances emerged from the house after the fire had been extinguished. 14 extant SCP-4724-A instances were recovered, but all expired within a month due to congenital defects, strokes, and lack of proper digestive tracts. Lenora Shoemaker, now designated POI-7484, fled before the arrival of the MTF. Efforts to locate and detain her are underway. SCP-4724 designated neutralized. Update: 6/12/1977. Following acquisition of the property, personnel began to clear the rubble from the area, cataloging recovered items and transporting them to Site-84 for storage. A safe was recovered in the remains of the bedroom, which contained banking information and numerous rejected applications to local and national adoption agencies. After several days of labor, personnel uncovered the root cellar of the house. The root cellar was untouched by the fire but was slightly altered, seemingly prior to the incident. Menstrual fluid seeped from the cellar walls with no apparent source, though production ceased 3 weeks after discovery. The floor was covered in an organic mat with carnomantic runes woven into it. Analysis of the mat revealed that it was made of embryonic stem cells. At the time of its discovery, the mat had already begun to decay. An anatomical mass vaguely resembling a human female was embedded on the northernmost wall. The figure possessed a grossly swollen torso, along with large tumorous growths anchoring it to the ground and wall. Numerous crude carnomantic symbols were painted on the entity, particularly on its breasts and navel. An engagement ring was located on the entity's left ring finger, rendering the finger necrotic due to swelling and lack of blood flow. The entity appeared to have expired due to smoke-induced asphyxiation several days before Foundation recovery. The parietal bone was noticeably absent from the entity's skull as well as the brain. The remaining cadaver, designated SCP-4724-N, was removed from the cellar and placed in cold storage within Site-84. Update: 6/5/1981. A lone individual, later identified as POI 7484, breached Site 84, incapacitating the gate guards and disabling automated containment protocols. Reinforcements from the barracks were issued, but were blocked from entering the main corridor by several large tumorous growths. Security cameras recorded the event, though no audio was present due to technical errors. I have a log for you here. I'll go ahead and read it. Begin log 1414. POI 7484 exits the elevator into sub-basement C, possessing a backpack and a large canister clipped to her belt. A junior researcher spots them and attempts to reach for a stun gun. 7484's arm loses rigidity and elongates rapidly. She whips her arm around her head and then towards the researcher, the arm detaching and wrapping around him, pinning his arms to his torso. 1415. POI 7484 approaches the freezer in which SCP-4724-N is held. POI 7484's arm has by this point fully regenerated. POI 7484 looks through the door window and quickly turns away. 1417. POI 7484 approaches the junior researcher. She searches through his pockets, finding his key card. She smiles and pats him on the head. 1418. The woman returns to the freezer, opening the door with the key card. She approaches -N, unhooking the canister and placing it on SCP-4724-N's gurney. 1419. POI 7484 withdraws a knife from her backpack and slashes her wrist. She uses the blood to paint a large hexagram around the gurney, connected to numerous other smaller sigils. The quantity of blood utilized is larger than normally found in a typical human. 1427. POI 7484 finishes creating the sigils and unscrews the lid of the canister. She inserts her hands into the container and carefully extracts a brain from the liquid contents. She then inserts the brain into SCP-4724's cranial cavity. 1430. POI 7484 checks her watch and hurries to the foot of the gurney, where she kneels down and places her hands upon the sigil. After a few moments, a severe distortion is visible around SCP-4724-N, and a bright flash of light overloads the cameras for 10 seconds. 1431. The woman stands up, examining SCP-4724-N, which is now in the form of a nude female, extraneous flesh slowing off her body. The entity begins to shake violently before snapping open her eyes and sitting up, hyperventilating. POI 7484 soothes the entity, stroking her back as she steadies her breathing. -N looks at POI 7484 and flings her arms around her. She and POI 7484 share a kiss. They enter the elevator and leave Site 93. End log. Proposal to reclassify SCP-4724 to Euclid is currently pending. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was SCP-4724 dismissed.